Hey everybody, it's Georgia Weedman, author of Penetration Testing, a hands-on introduction to hacking, and your instructor for this accompanying lab. So we're going to take another look at Meterpreter. So this one's a little different because, we're usually 192.whatever.2. But this one, we actually have the ability to see the target machine and the attacker machine. So it's a little bit different, and the IP address of your target is on your desktop of your attacker machine. So, and also on this one, in addition to a flag, it also wants us to create a file on the desktop which contains some text and open it in Notepad and use a keylogger to log the commands typed on the victim machine. So, let's have a go. It looks like I already have some terminals open. So let's just do an nmap on this guy. It's not particularly fast, so I'm actually just going to tell it port 80 just to speed up my video. It's a Windows box. It has a lot of services open. So let's speed that up a little bit and just tell it I want to look at port 80. Because once again, this is going to be target we've already seen. God, even that isn't making it. There we go. Alright, so it is indeed bad blue HTTP 2.7. And, we have seen that guy before in our previous exercises, so we know there's a Metasploit module for that version, so we've used it already. Start up our MSF console, and so we want to use, let me go ahead and grab that. So use exploit Windows HTTP bad blue pass through. Again, we used this module previously. Show our options, set our hosts to our target. Again, you can always set a payload. We saw this in a previous example, but since we're after Meterpreter, and if Meterpreter is possible, that's what it will default to. Let's just go ahead and let it default. And we get Meterpreter session 1. And so from there, let's see, it wants us to create a file. Certainly there's multiple ways to do that. What I would do if it were me, I suppose, would be I just create the file on this end. Though having to use VI, this hack.txt, how about that? Let's make it painfully obvious. So, I for insert, you've been hacked. Escape to get out of insert mode, colon, and then WQ to write and quit. And then I want to upload, who are we on this thing? Probably the administrator. So I want to upload hack.txt to C. We do have to do double backslashes. Basically the backslash is the escape character, so it's a special character, so it'll escape, and you'll see it'll come out fine. This is pretty commonly something you have to do, and we are doing backslashes because it's Windows. So C users, administrator, a word I had to learn how to spell when I got into this industry, and then desktop. So that should have uploaded hack.txt, and we can pop over to our target machine, and sure enough, there's a text file, hack.txt. Alright, I go back over here. So attacker machine. Then it wants me to open it in Notepad. Maybe the easiest way to do that is to just drop into a shell and just change directories to C users, administrator. You don't necessarily have to change directories, but why not? And then if we do a dir there, you'll see it. And I believe if we just call it from the desktop, it should, because Notepad's the default program. I believe we can also say Notepad and then have that, but I think this will work. Sure enough, it does. Magic. And then it wants me to keylog, so let's exit out of the shell. If we hit exit here, that'll take me back to my Meterpreter, and from there, you can see the help for the keylog. It's in here. You see some other stuff you might want to play around with, but it's keyscan start, keyscan dump, keyscan stop. So keyscan start. So that started the sniffer. So then we go to the target machine and be like, this is a secret. And come back over to the attacker. If we do a keyscan dump now, there's it came out funny because I had to hit the backspace, but this is a secret. And so then we can just do a keyscan stop. And let me show you a couple other Meterpreter things that aren't on this list. Get UID administrator. I don't know if that's going to be enough to pull the hashes. No, you usually have to be system on the newer ones. We could also, we could try to do a get system and see what happens. Okay, well, get system is fun. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself in terms of local privilege escalation, but there are, when we get to local privilege escalation, we'll see stuff like this, but you can use vulnerabilities that are in the system to go from, say, administrator to system. And the get system command in Meterpreter it has some of, but certainly not all the exploits. There are also post-exploitation modules in Metasploit that we can use to do that. But now we should be able to hash dump. Okay, am I crazy? Oh, no, it's help, hash dump. No help for hash dump. Okay, well, this is what I get for getting off book for whatever reason that's not working. But we could also do PS to see all the processes. You are in Windows Meterpreter. One of the cool things about it is it does reside entirely in memory. So, that's great because, it's ephemeral, but it's bad because if the process that you're living in if it dies, then your Meterpreter session also dies, which is not fun. So, you may be able to migrate to a different process. So these are all the processes. Explorer.exe, basically the start menu. Start menu rarely dies, so we could do a migrate. And our process is 3256. No, that's bad blue. 3056. And that moved me into a different process. So if the bad blue server went down, I would still be alive because I moved out of it. And so again, I did a little extra beyond what we were expected to do. Just want to show you a little bit more, basic Meterpreter before we move on. So that's all for this one, and I'll see you next time.